I wanted this to be an international correspondence because I know that only at the international level is there the just cogents peremptory rights, which is what this is all about. Well, if there's no period, then it becomes the middle initial. Remember, the period creates a full stop. So, I mean, when I put Curtis R. period Kallenbach, the R period is not a middle initial. Curtis R. is on one side, the period's a full stop, and then there's the name Kallenbach. So there's no middle initial. What's really weird, though, is if there's no period, then the R would become a middle initial. That's a huge thing for people to understand, that if there's a run-on between Curtis Richard Kallenbach or Curtis R. Kallenbach with no period, that is a title. That period, that age, that full stop definitely has an effect in their magic scheme. Anyway, so this is going to the International Court of Justice, care of President Joan E. Period Donahue at Peace Palace, Carnegie Plain 2, 2517 KJ, The Hague, the Netherlands. And then, of course, registered mail, and I use registered mail. Basically, I put it on the letter so it does what? It correlates to the envelope it was in, and of course the envelope was tracked through or chain of title all the way to where it's going, which shows that this letter was received. Now, the letter itself, Dear President Donahue, as a self-determined pacifist who is all present and accounted for, I, for one, do not assent to any act of violence. This includes, but is not limited to, the amputation of one's umbilical cord / extra embryonic mass. Such unnatural acts / severed things are abortions. While truth comes in many forms, one does not subscribe to superstitions or ideas contrary to the laws of nature. And, as the author, words I write are not tendered for interpretation. They mean what I say. I'm going to go to self-determination at Wiki. So self-determination, it says the right of a people to self-determine is a cardinal principle in modern international law, commonly regarded as a just cogents rule, binding as such on the United Nations as authoritative interpretation of the Charter's norms. But the key there, it says, it's commonly regarded as a just cogents rule. Just cogents is called a peremptory norm, not preemptory. A peremptory norm, says Ladd for compelling law, is a fundamental principle of international law. This says international law that is accepted by the international community of states as a norm from which no derogation is permitted. No derogation. It is generally accepted that just cogents bans genocide, maritime piracy, enslaving in general, wars of aggression and territorial aggrandizement, torture, and refuelment. Now think about that. Just cogents bans genocide. Just cogents bans maritime piracy. Just cogents bans enslavement in general. You see what I'm getting at? Nothing local does that. But look what it says also for peremptory norm. It says a fundamental principle. The fact that it's fundamental. And that's what the just cogents is all about, is fundamental rights. So fundamental in the blue box at Webster says forming or relating to the most important part of something. It says basic. Can you get any more basic than the zygote? No, that's an irreducible, non-reducible position. So the very moment the unique 46 chromosome entity is created, you can't reduce that, can you? If you try to destroy the one, you destroy all of the one. By the way, I mean, if I'm perfect in my entirety, and why do I say I'm perfect? I'm perfect because there is no other version of me to compete with. I'm the best and only version of myself, so I'm perfect as a whole. If you cut me off from my origin or cut my spirit off from my body, without the spirit, that would be a dead body, and then that would have no rights because dead bodies have no rights. The point I'm trying to get at is perfection from the beginning exists. But the moment you cut that umbilical cord, you destroy the perfection. As a self-determined pacifist, here's pacifist, an adherent to pacifism, someone who opposes war or violence as a means of settling disputes. So what I'm doing is I'm explaining that my position as a pacifist in these first couple of words, And pacifism says that, listen, being self-determined, I'm not interested in any acts of violence, which include the cutting of the umbilical cord. Well, first of all, the title is a piece of paper or words that identify the cut material.
Yes.
And of course, the cut material dies, it becomes a decedent estate. So now there's a decedent estate in dispute, but in reality, is there a decedent estate?
No.
Because you're still using that material, you're still biologically using the same biology from the very, very beginning called fertilization. When you know the beginning and you don't allow the cut, I'm not saying physically don't allow it, but you don't allow the cut to be presumed as a deposit, then that material and you are still one. And now you have, I'm going to call it the armor of God, because that material that they cut off of you, which is all the original matter, which does include the pellucid membrane, which is the very outside of the zygote, which is also known as the skin of the zygote or the skin of the fetus. That's your skin in the game. And they're using that material at the international banking level to make you the surety in all of these agreements. In this ecumenical economy, full faith and credit, they have to be notified that this cut is actually the war. It is the thing that begins the war between you, I'm going to say heaven and earth. And you can end the war by doing what? Ending the cut.